Hello everybody and welcome to Langer's Legion. I'm Langer and let's talk Star Wars Legion. And in today's episode we're going to be doing a quick recap of all the Star Wars Legion news that came out at day 2 of AMG's Ministravaganza. So let's get into it. So day 2 started off with a painting session with Will Sheik, if I'm saying that right, with a title called Battled Colors Empire's Elite, which had a lot of folks kind of wondering or guessing what this painting session was going to be about. Well, they teased it even further in a social media post that I'll show the image here of some silhouettes of kind of the idea of what the unit would be. And as you can see from the image, they're a little hefty, kind of chunky guys, as well as kind of in a wilderness snow theme. So a lot of folks were kind of guessing what the unit was. And lo and behold, during the stream, it was revealed that yes, the Empire is getting yet more units. As folks were saying, the rich just keep on getting richer in the form of range troopers. Now, if you're not familiar with these units, they are from the Solo movie, which again, I might say, in my opinion, is a good movie. I actually really enjoy Solo. It's a great heist movie, really is what it boils down to. But they're the units that you see kind of in the train robbery scene at the beginning of the film. They've got these magnetic boots that let them kind of stay on the train and whatnot. So it'll be interesting to see what AMG does with these units for Star Wars Legion. It was not revealed on the stream if they were going to be core or special forces. I'm definitely leaning more towards them probably being special forces, but I hope they're core because I just feel like the Empire is pretty heavy on special forces and it might be good just to have some different core options. But the stream was actually really good. I'll link to it down below. Will went through some different kind of oil washing techniques, which I'm not quite familiar with from a painting perspective for minis. Just know the kind of the big spoiler here before the roadmap show that comes on day 3 was, yep, the Empire is getting an additional unit. Then there was an afternoon session focused on BattleForces, and similar to the day 1 Spec Ops session, it was hosted by Will Sheik again, Will Pagnani, as well as Andrew Dursum. So kind of the same 3 cats that we saw yesterday are on the panel for today. And I won't go too far again into the whole session. I'll link it to down below. But they did kind of give an overview of like how BattleForces started and kind of what their thought process is. They mentioned the initial ones were already kind of in the works when Star Wars Legion was still owned by or being operated by Fantasy Flight Games, and they kind of inherited or took it on from there. Mentioning obviously that Shadow Collective was kind of the first original battle force, and it was a way just to kind of bring all those mercenary units together under one roof, and it kind of fit with obviously Lord Maul from the Clone Wars, if you're familiar with that kind of Mandalorian and how those guys got pieced together. And they've said they've learned a lot as kind of like the first way or their first take on actually how to build the battle force. And then of course we've got the additional ones after that, the Blizzard Force, Invasion Force, the 501st, as well as the Echo Base Defenders. And what they want to do with BattleForces is, kind of 2 main things. One is they try to emulate a thematic presence from, obviously at this point, from the movies, but it doesn't mean they can't go into the books or the TV shows and whatnot. But it also gives a way to play existing units in a different way, which we'll see coming up, as well as what they've done with, at least in Blizzard Force, right? You talk about the HRUs, which is a stormtrooper unit that can take 2 additional heavies or take 2 heavies total, which is only available in Blizzard Force. So it's a good way for them to come up with new ideas to use existing units. And of course they went into the much anticipated and just released Bright Tree. I won't go into the details there, but kind of just talked about how that came together as well. But really what folks were there for, and myself included, was, are they actually going to announce any new battle forces? And yet, of course, we were not disappointed. So they did come up with 2 new battle forces, basically themed around the Battle of Kashyyyk. You got the Wookie Defenders for the GAR side, and then you've got the Experimental Droids Battle Force for the CIS side. And I'll just kind of give a quick high-level highlights of these. Again, I'm not going to go into full details. And what's great about these battle forces, besides the facts that we finally get a Wookiee battle force, is the rules to play these are already uploaded to the AMG website. They were actually uploaded live during the stream or towards the end of it. So right when they were announced, they were there so folks could start taking a look at it and seeing kind of how the units or how these battle forces are shaped up. They did a quick run through of them, and I'll touch on that here quickly. This won't be a deep dive into the battle forces, but just more of an overview of what folks can expect. So, like I said, the Wookiee battle force is going to be GAR related. Of course, we're talking about Battle of Kashyyyk. There are a couple rules to it, and since I don't have them memorized yet, I'm going to kind of read them right off a screen here, so I apologize for looking away. But so for some of the special rules, the Wookiee warriors count as core units for the purpose of building this army, so they won't count as special forces. You must include 3 Wookiee trooper units. Kind of makes sense for a Wookiee-themed battle force that you need to have some Wookiees in there. And then one of the unique rules that I think is pretty interesting is the first time a mini in each Wookiee trooper unit is defeated each round, that unit may make a speed 1 move. So obviously the Wookiee warriors are a very melee focused unit, so obviously giving them a way to get forward and into battle quickly is great for this battle force, because I know historically that's been something that kind of holds the Wookiees back. So that free speed 1 move, even though you're losing units, at least you're kind of getting something out of it. For allowed units in this battle force, for commander, you've got Yoda, Chewbacca, the Wookiee chieftain. Special forces, you can have up to 1 ARC trooper unit, but not special forces. And like I said, we talked about the Wookiee warriors before. Core units can have up to 2 phase 2 clone units. Support units, you can have 1 bark speeder, or up to 1 bark speeder, and you can use the fluttercraft. And there's some additional details on the fluttercraft here in a moment. And then the heavy unit, you can either use an ISP or a saber tank. So those are the allowed units. But let's talk about the requirements, because obviously you can't use all of these necessarily together. So the commander, you must include 1, but not more than 2. Special forces is up to 4. Core is 3 to 6, kind of the standard. Support is up to 3, and then you can only have up to 1 of the heavy vehicles. So you're either going to choose the ISP or the saber tank if you're going to bring a heavy into your army. Now, one thing they did talk about, and this goes back to what they like about doing about battle forces, is kind of changing the way you can already use existing units or things you already own. And for the fluttercraft, they did make some changes to it. One, they did reduce the amount of points that it costs, as well as they gave it a new keyword. And the keyword is called attack run, which I'll read here. At the start of this unit's activation, it may choose to increase or decrease its speed by 1 until the end of its activation. So basically you're going to be able to take it from a speed 2 to a speed 1 if you want. Maybe you're trying to hold back a little bit. Or if you're really going after somebody, again, going in for the attack run, you can take it from a speed 2 to a speed 3, which is pretty cool. Again, just a new way to use an existing unit you might already have. The card, which is shown here, is in the rulebook. So again, this is just going to be a print to play. For the droid battle force, it's called experimental droids. And it has a few special rules that I'll dig into. So there's a new card for the IG-100 Magna Guard called the IG Magna Guard Prototype Assassins, and these units will count as core. And I'll get more into that in a moment. At the start of the activation phase, you can choose 1 commander, put 3 surge tokens on that commander's unit card. Once during its activation, a friendly special forces, core, or support unit that has the AI keyword may perform a free action to spend those surge tokens from that chosen commander card at range 3. If it does so to choose to do that, it can do one of the following. So basically you're going to take a surge token to do one of these actions. You can increase their speed by 1 during their next move action. You can gain 1 aim or 1 dodge token. You can add 1 black and 1 white dice to their attack pool. Or you can remove up to 2 suppression tokens. So this is a cool mechanic. I like it. Again, their idea of kind of changing up the core rules or the way things play. So having those 3 tokens and kind of choosing how you want to spend them, dice, attacks, aims, dodges, that's pretty cool. For its allowed units, you got commanders, you got super tactical droids and the T-series tactical droid. Special forces is BX series droids, but no strike teams, just like the Wookie warriors. And then you have these new IG-100 Magna Guard droid units. For cores, up to two B1 battle droids and up to 2 B2 battle droids. For support, you've got the droidicas. And then for your heavy, there's a new Persuader tank class as well in this battle force that we're going to get into here. But that gives you kind of a breakdown of the allowed units. For the requirements, 1 to 2 commanders, up to 3 special forces, 3 to 6 on the core, up to 3 on the heavy, or I'm sorry, up to 3 on the support and up to 2 on the heavy. So kind of pretty much, if I off the top of my head, sounds like a traditional army build out. Maybe it's the heavies that seem odd, but I think you can do up to 2 in a standard army. But anyways, pretty much a standard format there. Now let's talk about these Magna Guards and this new Persuader tank. Again, these are cards that are included in the rules, print to play, just print them out. So here's a quick rundown on these new Magna IG-100s. So they're basically a little less potent and they cost less. So they're less points, they have less health and courage, they have no retinue, so you don't get that free aim or dodge, no guardian, no surge to hit. They do 1 black and 1 white for the Electo Staff, which on the regular Magna Guards, that's 2 black dice. And they actually have less upgrade slots, so you're not going to be able to kind of kit them out as much as you may do in a traditional CIS army. And for the Persuader tank, same base points, so that one's the same there, but you get Arsenal 3 versus Arsenal 2. There's no Transport 1, has the same wound and resiliency, so 11 and 7, just like the, let's call it the original tank. You have no surge to hit, but the surge to block stays there. The ion cannon rolls 1 less white dice and has no impact. And the repeating blasters, same dice, but they have no critical 1. So again, just some tweaks to that. I'm not a droid player. I'm not sure, the pros and cons of, of this tank layout, as it costs the same compared to, let's call it again, the original Persuader tank. So if there's a droid player in the world, maybe leave a comment down below on, what you think about these changes basically for the same point cost. So with that, that's a quick overview of day 2. I will be back with day 3, which will actually have the Legion roadmap. So we'll see what coming units we've got both in the near-term future and the long-term as it relates to Star Wars Legion. Also, I am doing a giveaway titled A Token of My Appreciation. That link will be up here. If you want to enter and win by leaving a comment on that video, you'll get a chance to win some custom-made poker chip order tokens that I had made up, again, just to show a token of my appreciation to the YouTube audience. But with that, till the next video, hail to the Empire.